All right, so what's up, guys? Back in with episode 36, and today we got here the number one 126 pounder in the country, Dean Peterson. What's up, bro?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good. So, how are things going right now?
Pretty good. Obviously 3 weeks since I've wrestled, since I've been out since who's number one, had to quarantine and everything. So I
Yeah,
haven't really been able to wrestle that much. That kind of sucks.
yeah, that's tough. But you had pretty much the biggest win of your career, like who's number one, and you can finally say you're the number one guy in the country. So, how does it feel?
It feels great really because ever since I figured out who's number one was a thing, I always wanted to compete in it and, show my talents and show everyone that I'm number one in the country and I can wrestle at the highest level. So it really feels great. After it like set in and everything, I realized really the magnitude of what I was able to do. And really, up next is college, and I really can't just wait to get to college and maybe, win an NCAA title.
Yeah. So, I think the biggest dilemma was going into that match when Jordan Titus didn't make weight. So, but you still chose to wrestle. Like, what kind of went through that thought? Because even if you lost, you would have been the number one guy in the country.
I was never gonna take it like lightly just because I knew he had missed weight and the match really didn't count because mentally I felt like I had something to prove because I lost to him the last time I wrestled him. So even though I heard he missed weight and I heard the match wasn't going to count, I still felt like I had to go out there and get it done. Um, yeah, so that's really I just took it the same way I would have taken it if he had made weight.
And, Titus is a guy you lost to at Super 32. Did that affect, like, your game plan at all, or did you just go out and do your thing?
Really the only thing that I changed was my defense to the Falcon because I knew that Falcon or Jonesy, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it, I knew he was going to go for that. So that's the only thing that I really changed. I was still going to stay on my offense because I knew if I kept attacking and kept firing at him, he'd eventually get tired and not be able to counter as good as he would as he did in the first. We scrambled for about a minute, but when it got to that third period, he wasn't really able to get to his scrambles that much and get to his Jonesy or whatever. So I didn't really stray too far away from my game plan.
Yeah. So, biggest thing is you're now the number one wrestler in New Jersey. You had that title last year, but John Poznanski had a hell of a season. Obviously,
Yeah,
second pin everybody through the state. Nothing much you can do at that point.
yeah.
But you also, you like to flaunt it, but you're also pretty much the most hated guy in New Jersey. But you love to, just make fun with it. So, like, what really goes into that?
What goes into being the most hated kid in New Jersey or being the best wrestler in New Jersey?
How do you deal with people? Because I saw you at States. Obviously, you're just getting booed after every match, but you're still just having fun, making the best of it.
I don't really like pay attention to the booze and all that because people are gonna hate on people and they're gonna hate on you no matter what. You can't really change their minds when you hate someone, and it's just like that hate is there's really nothing to base it off of because I'm a quiet kid. I don't really go out and like do all this stuff. I don't try to be like rude or mean or whatever. So I really don't know why people boo me, but I can't really change their minds. There's nothing I can really say or do that's gonna change their minds. So I don't really worry about that. I got who I got in my corner and I know who's cheering for me, and that's really what matters at the end of the day.
I think my coach probably said best thing. Obviously you're getting booed a lot. People say you stole, do all that, but my coach is like they hate you because you win, and that's really it.
Yeah.
Because
People hate success.
I know we wrestled in the same region. I've watched you. I think the past 2 years when regions were at Franklin. You pretty much just dominated right through it. I didn't see you really. You didn't do anything crazy, but then time comes, you're the only one wrestling. They just don't like you for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah. It's usually I really don't feel like as many people hate me, or is they really just they hate the way that I'm able to win like year after year
Yeah.
because they're like, oh, eventually he's got to lose, eventually he's got to slip up. But over the last 2 years in New Jersey, I haven't lost a match, so they're kind of like they're like praying on my downfall, waiting for me to lose a match, and they're like, could have had it there, could have had it here, but
Yeah,
doesn't happen.
you had, I think, quite a few close calls. Last season you almost lost to Sanello. at the short conference tournament, a huge comeback win there. Obviously the one most people have seen with the Jack Maida regions. Still
Yep.
coming away with the win. And then state finals, 1-0. I think that's closest you guys' match have ever been. So, like,
Yeah,
what was your reaction
it's
to the short conference finals, like when he took you down?
I didn't really worry that much. Because when you worry and everything, you're not gonna be able to score. When you're worried about giving up points, you're not gonna be on your own offense. So as soon as he scored, I'm like, how am I gonna get it back? I think he took me down. He got a stall call. We reset, and I was up within 5 or 10 seconds. And then 5 or 10 seconds later, I got a takedown. I was never really worried. I knew I could score on him. I knew I could get to my attacks and come back in that match. I knew I could outlast him with my gas tank. I knew he would gas out eventually, and that's what happened in the third period. I didn't take a single offensive attack. So whenever I'm in like those close matches or whatever, like Jack Maida or against Vinny, I try to keep my head as calm as possible. I try not to like worry, even if I'm giving up points. Like even when I was in the match with Jack Maida, I get thrown to my back. Um, Not many people would think to get their arm out of that headlock and make an illegal headlock on purpose, and then therefore get me off my own back. You know?
So I think one of the most, nobody, like when they think of St. John Vianney, most people just think of Dean Peterson, obviously. But, your team, you could potentially have realistically two state champs next year. You got yourself, Nico Diaz, I think Jake Giordano it is, and Blake Clayton.
Yeah, Jake. Yeah. I think we legitimately all have a chance to place or win it. I think if Blake, works hard and gets his head on straight, he can definitely make a title run. I think Diaz is going to drop down to 20, so he's going to have a legitimate chance at the title too. So realistically, we could have 2 or 3 state champions at 120, 126, and about either 182 or 195. Even as a team, I think we're pretty stacked too. We've never team wise, we've never beat St. Augustine. And that's who we have in our, I guess, our sectionals. So I think we have a legitimate shot at taking them out this year.
Yeah, so I think you're obviously going to be ranked number one. I think Blake Clayton, if he does go 82, is the number one guy in the state right now. And then I think the other two guys are going to be ranked. So your future, your team's obviously looking really good. So you were one of
Yeah,
the two Princeton commits last year. Did you? Were you? I'm assuming you and Anthony Clark were good friends, but
yeah. We've known each other our whole lives. Probably since I was like 7 or 8 years old. I ended up wrestling when I was younger too. I bumped up because I was friends with him before we even wrestled, and I was like, I want to wrestle him in an actual match. So I was probably like 7 or 8, and I bumped up like an age group and 2 weight classes to wrestle him. I ended up losing to him 3-2.
yeah, that's pretty cool. Looking at Princeton, they're probably have to be one of the most overlooked schools in the EIWA. You have Pat Glory there, who could realistically, honestly, win a national title next year. You got yourself coming in, Anthony Clark coming in, and there's a bunch of other guys coming in from other states. So, what do you think about like what made you choose Princeton over any other possible school?
I really wanted to stay home. I wanted to stay in New Jersey, and the only other 2 schools are Rider and Rutgers. And I just felt like I needed to look at a school that would give me options after wrestling, because wrestling can only take you so far. Even at the highest levels, you're not making much income at the highest level. So you have to really think of a career path that's gonna set you up for later down the road. So I thought that Princeton would look best on like, a resume for jobs and stuff, and put me in a good position to set myself up financially later on in life.
Yeah. So obviously, like I followed quite a bit of you, just like on social media in general, after you won your sophomore year. So like, I remember seeing this one thing on your stories between you and Robert Howard, like how you guys don't like each other because he said you could beat him in a match. So break that down for me, real quick.
Ever since I had that interaction with him, he has blocked me on every source of social media. So I haven't had any contact with him since sophomore year. Someone asked me, I guess they asked me if I could beat him, and I said yes. I said I could beat him like 5-3. And he didn't like that, saying that I could beat him. I never said anything disrespectful either. All I said is I think it would be a good match and I'd beat him. But he took that personal, And I think the exact message he wrote to me was, um, keep your mouth shut. I'll rip both your arms off, kid. And I was like, that was hilarious. He was calling me a clown and then blocked me. So I was like, okay, that's whatever. And I thought it was pretty. I thought it was like karma. You know, he said he was gonna rip both my arms off, and I was like, I believe in karma a little bit. And he ended up hurting his shoulder this year. I'm like, that's a little bit karma for saying you're gonna rip my arms off. That's what happens, kinda.
Yeah. I mean, did you say anything back to him or no? Did he just block you right after?
Well, we went back and forth, but I never said anything disrespectful. All I said was I could beat you in a match. And I said, if you want to, run it, you know where I train. So,
Yeah, that would have been amazing for Flo to put that up.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
But I mean, he struggled with Nardone a little bit. He ended up losing to him during the year, but you go back to my sophomore season, I ended up beating Nardone 7-2, and Howard struggled with him. Even at States, it was a 5-4 match or a 4-3 match. So I still legitimately believe I could beat him, but he'll never. I don't think we're gonna be the same weight in college.
I mean, he said he's going 25 for Penn State, but
Yeah, but
you
I don't think I'm gonna go 25. I'm not a big cutter. I'll probably go up to 33 first year.
I mean, it's whatever, you know. How do you think a match between you and Sammy Alvarez would go then at 33?
That I really can't tell you. His style is just so unpredictable. He's actually I feel like he's got a very similar style to Titus with all the scrambling he does and all the moves that he hits. I think it would be a good match. I'm not gonna say I could, beat him or not beat him because he's been in college now and he's been at the highest level. He's beat some pretty high level kids. So I think it would be a good match. I can't say if I'd win or lose that, but I'd love the competition. I'd love to wrestle him sometime.
If you had to, you know, before who's number one, you saw everybody make their picks, and of course, you know, everybody went to Titus, being that he beat you pretty dominantly the first time. And then I see you after who's number one. You obviously posted the whatever the picture they take at the beginning, and then the next one was all their picks.
Yep.
Like, I'm assuming you probably saw that before the match. You probably took that into account.
I did. I did. I actually saw the live of them picking the people. They obviously had Ben Askren picking, and they all picked Titus, and I was like, wow, that's funny. I thought it was funny because I feel like that match, even though obviously you said it's a dominant win, 10-4. That's a pretty big margin of, like a pretty big difference. But I feel like it's overlooked that I got caught in a Falcon twice. You minus his points from the Falcon in that match, it's like a 3-4 match. Um, so as long as I'm able to counter the Falcon in that match, it's a lot closer than it seemed. So
Yeah, I think one of the most matches that we look forward to for the next upcoming high school season, if it does happen, I think this would be round five between you and Vinny.
um maybe. I don't know. Depends what weight he goes, depends what weight I go, and it depends what happens with the state tournament, obviously, because I don't think we'd wrestle team-wise in a duel because I don't think Brick Memorial would ever put us on the schedule. They wouldn't wrestle us because we're a private school or a Catholic school. They don't like to wrestle a lot of those schools.
So, you know, your season may or might not happen at this point. You know, let's just say it doesn't happen. How would you kind of go about that, you know, transitioning right to college when you're kind of expecting another year?
If it doesn't happen this year, if they cut it off at team sectionals and there's no state tournament, I'm gonna go right into training freestyle and hopefully I can make like a either a junior or cadet world team. That's what my main goal is right now. Obviously, since I'll have that time between college and the end of high school and then college. So I might take a gray shirt year, which you can't redshirt in Ivy League schools. So if I were to gray shirt, I'd take a year and just train at the RTC, just train freestyle before I go to college. Um, so that would be what my main thing, if we don't have a season, would be.
No, so say you do have a season on the other hand, you know, what would be one guy you're looking forward to wrestling?
Um, I don't know if there's any. I talked about it a little bit. I kind of joked about it on like Snapchat and stuff. People were asking me what weight I'm going to go for the season, and I said if all works out and I put on enough weight, I'll go up to 138 and see if I can get a rematch with Oliveri and right all my wrongs before I exit high school.
Yeah.
That's the only match that's the most recent match I lost in high school competition. So if I were able to put on enough weight and go up to 138 and get that match, I'd absolutely take it just to give myself a shot mentally and just physically leave high school as the pound for pound number one wrestler. No doubt in anyone's mind.
Yeah. Is there an opportunity you guys meet at a tournament during the season or not?
There actually, from what I've read, there's going to be no tournaments. There's no Beast. There's no Sam Callie. There's nothing like that. They're only letting them do team duels and then up to team sectionals. And then I guess at the end, they're either going to decide whether they're going to do individual stuff like states and stuff. So I don't really know.
Okay. So, I think, you're on, I think, a 75 match win streak right now.
It's somewhere. I lost count. I don't even. I don't really know.
Titus is the only match you've wrestled since the state finals, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so I think it's 74 then.
Yeah.
So I was just watching that video today. So, you gotta get prepared for the episode.
Yeah.
Going back to when you were at 106, you were never really even predicted to make the state finals after you lost in the region finals. What kind of, you get to the state finals this time, there's really no pressure whatsoever. You're not projected to win by anybody. What was your mentality different going into that match? Like, even though you didn't end up coming on top?
It was the same mentality. I was the underdog. I always keep the underdog mentality. Not a lot of people. Some people aren't going to pick me, and I can't change people's minds. So I was going out there as I'm going to show these people how good I really am. Obviously, it didn't turn out that way in that state final, but I think I've grown a lot since then. I feel like my mentality was very similar in that match, but I've obviously been able to jump levels since then. So.
If you had to pick one match out of your entire high school, like in New Jersey, in your high school career, what match would it be?
I don't know if I'd even take back the state final match. I think I'd take back my region finals match where I took out my mouthpiece and lost on a mouthpiece point. I think I'd take that match back because that's just a terrible way to lose.
Which you like? I mean, your win. Like, what do you think the favorite win?
Oh, my favorite win from high school. I'd probably say the semifinals at Beast of the East against Alex Almeida is probably my best win so far, just because of, I guess it kind of really, it was a confidence booster really, because I had wrestled him when I was younger and I ended up losing to him. So that was one of the kids that I was excited and also nervous to wrestle because I knew that he was very technical and very good on his feet. And I was able to come out with the win 1-0 and triple overtime or something like that. And that was probably a really good start to the season because that was before anything happened. That was the semifinals at Beast. So that's the first tournament of the year, and I was really excited about that one. So that's probably my favorite win.
And I think that match could go down in the state finals this year if we do have states.
Alex Almeida?
Yeah, if he stays at 26, I think.
Oh no, he's going up to 38. Yeah, he's talking about it. He weighs like 57 right now, so he's not coming down to 26.
A lot of guys, I think PJ Casal said he might move up to heavyweight, which is huge there.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest one has to be, David Zuba, right?
Zuba, yeah, I'm friends with Zuba. I've talked to him. I've trained with him.
Yeah, he's going heavyweight, which is crazy.
Yeah, I feel like he's gonna do good up there, though. I feel like I've seen him wrestle and I've seen his style, and I think it's gonna work very well for him. I think he can win it at heavyweight, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I can't pick against Jimmy after last year, but if it happens, it happens.
Jimmy's gonna be a hell of a wrestler in high school. As soon as Zuba's gone, I don't think anyone's really has a chance if anyone has a chance, it's Zuba. But I think it's gonna be very interesting if they wrestle this year.
Do you think there's a chance that John O'Donnell wins it from Tom's River? He's ranked second.
I don't know. I don't think he's as athletic as Jimmy or Zuba. I think those two styles just are 10 times better than O'Donnell. I feel like O'Donnell's style doesn't really match up well with them. Jimmy's very offensive, so is Zuba, and they like to go big or go home. So.
Yeah, no, 100%. I was watching Jimmy's semi where he pinned Justin Wright in like 40 seconds.
Yeah.
I think that was like 10 seconds after I left the building too that night.
Yeah. As they just have very electrifying styles for being heavyweights. For being as big as they are, they really just they move around like they're light guys.
So when you do get to college, if you do go either 125, 133, who's one guy you'd be most excited to wrestle?
Um, it's gonna sound like I'm making up a meme, but I'd love to wrestle like DeSanto at 133. I think that'd be pretty cool. I think our styles would match up pretty well, and I think it would be a good match, very exciting match.
What do you think about DeSanto just in general?
Um, I don't know how to feel about him. I feel like he's kind of a sore loser. He's kind of cocky, kind of like I really don't know how to describe it. But he also like it's weird because sometimes he backs up what he says he's gonna do, but sometimes he just folds. Like this year when he wrestled Roman Bravo Young and he cried out of two cradles. Like that doesn't seem like something he would do, but he did it. That's exactly what he did. He cried out of two positions where he could have been pinned, and that just doesn't seem like him because he's that tough guy persona where he's like the guy. He sees himself as the guy no matter what happens.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting take. I kind of assumed you would. I don't know if I assumed you would like him or just like dislike him because just based on like your style.
Yeah, yeah. I very similar really. He kind of goes for the same type of moves that I go for. I mean, not like whatever his flying Kamara was or whatever what he was doing there. I don't know what that is, but I think we have very similar styles, and if we wrestled, it'd be a pretty nice match.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. If you say you do, you're gonna be in high school this year, obviously. Say if nationals do happen at 133, obviously you got. I think if Suriano goes down to 25, you have Sammy Alvarez, Roman Bravo Young, Stefan Micic, which is big one, Austin DeSanto. And I think that's pretty much the top four there. Might be missing
Yeah,
somebody.
I'd take Roman there though. I'd definitely take Bravo Young to win that at 33, especially with Sebastian Rivera going up to 41. I think um, Bravo Young is the front runner for that weight class.
Do you think Micic will beat him or not?
I never really, I just don't like Micic's style. I don't think it's very exciting. I don't think it's high enough level to compete with the other guys in the weight class. Really.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, I can agree with that to an extent. No, his match
I
was.
mean, I mean, if you remember when he wrestled Suriano, I'm pretty sure he didn't do like a single thing in that. I think he took a single leg in the first period, and that's about all he did that whole match.
I
And he
think
got two stall calls on him.
I think Suriano got in like 5 or 6 shots. Then Suriano just went. Miches just went shin wizard and then stalemated it and scored in the third. But
Yeah, it's just very boring style. It's like I just those people that wrestle those close matches on purpose. I don't feel like it's harder for them to make a run because all their matches are close. So someone pulls out something out of like the back of their, you know, arsenal, and then you're screwed. So
going back to who's number one, actually, I forgot to ask you this. I think a couple upsets went down. Except for yours, which one do you think is the biggest upset?
um, I feel like the biggest upset was definitely Ayala over Figs, but after before he ended up wrestling, I was his warm up partner for the day. So I kind of knew going into it, I'm like, this kid has a shot at taking out Figueroa. Obviously, Figueroa is like the number one or number two pound for pound. He's like hasn't lost in like a couple years, and everyone's like hyping him up. But I was wrestling with Ayala. I'm like, he has a legitimate shot to take him out because his style and his pace was pretty good. Um, that's probably what I'd pick as the biggest upset, though.
I think I watched a little bit of the last podcast you did with those. Oh, I don't remember what it's called, the wrestling podcast one.
Yeah.
You guys were talking about the penalty that was called on him, which caused the match to go to overtime with grabbing the shirt. Do you think that was a good call or not?
I really don't think it was intentional. I mean, the Flow guys were talking about it. Oh, he had a fistful of his shirt, but I just think it was really more. He was literally just shrugging him by. I don't even think grabbing the shirt affected the move whatsoever. The move that he was hitting really didn't require him to even come across where he was coming across. So I don't really think it affected it. And I don't think it should have been called. But that was almost a saving grace for Figueroa sending it in overtime because he was getting no offense going. And I didn't see him winning the match even if it did go into overtime because Ayala was just dominating the match on their feet.
Yeah, I think some crazier matches went down. I think craziest one. I think Nick Feldman versus Kyle Haas. If you saw that one,
He majored him, right?
yeah, it was insanely dominant. I had a like 2-1 Feldman, and he was bad. If you're watching it,
Yeah.
like there's no other way to.
I think another one wasn't the heavyweight match pretty good though.
Yeah,
It
no,
was like pretty high scoring, right, between
it was,
Hamilton and Chase.
yeah. Chase Warren ended up beating Keontae 10-6.
Yeah, yeah,
That
that
was
was a pretty high scoring match.
I actually talked to both of them, like I think like a couple days before who's number one, like just because I'm a heavyweight, I kind of just had
Yeah,
connections. So we talked to them. I think right after we ended the episode with Keontae, I was like, I'm gonna stay neutral on this till the match happens. He was like,
yeah,
"What's your score prediction?" Right after the episode ended, I said 11-3, right? And then I'm out here just walking back to my dorm. I turn on the who's number one thing. I see Chase just taking down all the weird scrambling. And like I'm rooting with like another wrestler, dude, one of my teammates, right? So we
yeah.
all just like go crazy, and there's like 4 or 5 people there, and then we all just start screaming, and the RA walks in. We were just hyping his stand up over
That's
us.
pretty funny.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
way too dominant between what like I thought it was. Like Keontae didn't look good that match, for being honest.
A lot of people said he looked sloppy. I guess he
Yeah.
didn't look very like precise with what he was doing. He kind of looked like a little bit out of shape compared to what Chase was doing. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
Some kids were just more out of shape with COVID. I guess they weren't able to get the same type of training that they'd usually get.
I think I know like Keontae went from being a 220 to I remember he weighed in like 260 or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. He was talking about that in like the in the weigh-in line. I guess he was talking to him and Chase were talking like they were best friends in that weigh-in line.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, because
I,
Titus didn't say a single word to me while we were in weigh-ins, and I was like, okay, I guess it's like that.
I mean, I think that's more of like a heavyweight thing. Obviously, like I think most of the kids I've wrestled, I either talked to a good amount or like still talk to today. Because I know I
Yeah,
talked to Jimmy Mullen a good amount. I've talked to JT and Justin Wright and John too. But
it seems like the lightweights take it more personal. You
yeah,
know, the heavyweights can kind of like joke about it and like joke around and do all that, but it seems like the lightweights just take it a little too seriously sometimes.
yeah. I mean, it's like your friends till you get on the mat, and then I don't see anything. Like
Yeah,
say if you and Vincent Sandella were friends, like and then
yeah. Friends until you hop on the mat. It's different.
I think I remember I was in his live once when I was running the New Jersey Wrestling Tournament page, and then
Yeah.
some dude. I remember the first question was, "I'll give you $100 right now if you get Dean Pearson on this live with me."
What'd he say?
He was like, "Yo, somebody DM him right now. Let's do it." I think he was joking, but like, it was pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Because him and his brother were
we,
going off.
yeah. I don't know. I don't really know. We used to have a little bit of beef, but I really just kind of squashed it like in the middle at the short conference tournament. I tried to squash any beef that I had with him. I told him it's just ridiculous at this point. There's no reason to have beef. It's just wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys might be actually at this point like maybe the top 2 wrestlers in New Jersey for
Yeah,
possibly.
absolutely.
Yeah. It's tough to see like a guy like that. You're both stuck in the same weight class, and I don't think if he goes up, he kind of just doesn't fill out the weight, and he can't really go
I
down.
feel like I feel like he'd do better if he went up to a different weight, or if he went, tried to go a weight class below. I think he'd have a pretty good shot at winning. If he went, let's say he went 120 or he went 132, I think he'd have a pretty good shot at winning both of those weight classes, especially 132. I think 132 is kind of wide open. The only person that would be in his path, I feel like, would be Nardone from Del Barton. That's about it, though.
I mean, he looked good last year though. For it's like he had some great wins, Nardone.
Yeah, he did, especially the one over Howard when he won 5-3.
I mean,
He's been
that was huge. I think Anthony Clark took a couple losses too during the season, just huge.
he did, but he always knows how to turn it up when he gets to AC. He's one of those wrestlers. He can lose like 4 or 5 times during the year, and then when he gets to AC, make a run.
He's just he's the guy like like he's so interesting to watch to me, but like he doesn't score at all. But like he's just so technically sound.
Yeah. He knows his positions well, and he doesn't need to score a whole bunch of points to beat you either. Like he can have a 1-0 match, 2-0 match, and he's comfortable with that because he's comfortable when the score is close.
Yeah. So I think a couple of the final things I want to touch on is like I don't think New Jersey's had a four. We've had two four-time undefeated state champs. Anthony Ashland, Nick Soriano. I think there was a couple more four-timers. Jimmy can't be a four-time undefeated state champ, but he can still be a four-timer. Who do you think the next four-time state champion will be in New Jersey?
Actually, someone that I train with quite often, Max Nevlin. I think he's one of the number one wrestlers coming in. He was supposed to go into high school this year. He reclassed because COVID. He wants to make sure he gets every single shot he can at that state title. I feel like he definitely has a shot at being a four-time state champ because he's going to be very dominant with his class. I think he's going to be like a 152 pounder, 160, but I feel like he's going to be pretty dominant. If anyone's going to be a four-timer, I think he has a chance of doing it.
Yeah, I think that works in his favor too, because I think a lot of these middleweight guys are like the studs you've seen are like pretty much graduated right now.
Yeah, it seems like 152 and like 145, even this year, were kind of wide open. And then the year followed, like this year, it's going to be pretty wide open too.
Yeah. I think after Rob Kennard, Connor O'Neill, and Shane were gone, it's pretty much anybody's game at this point.
Yeah, I feel like it's wide open. It was like those guys that placed like 3 through 8 at those positions, kind of like interchangeable. Anyone could win it really now.
I think what was the biggest upset? I think I saw in Atlantic City. I think Mackenzie Bell over Eddie Ventresca.
Yeah, that was yeah. Who else? That Aaron kid, I think for Paramus had a pretty big upset too, right?
Izarov, yeah, he beat the Bergen kid, and he beat Brandon Mooney from Camden Catholic, who pinned
Yeah,
Viviano in the region finals.
yeah, that was a pretty big upset too. I'm trying to think of where the upsets came because when I was like down in Atlantic City, I didn't really focus on too many other weight
I think
classes. But
Evan Mugallian beating Anthony Sandello was a big one.
I don't think it was an upset though. I thought Evan was the first seed, right?
I think he was the 4 seed. He might have been the 1 seed. I mean, I heard he was the 4.
He was undefeated all year, so I don't really see him. I think he a sophomore or was he a freshman too? I don't even know. Okay.
I think. I mean, PJ Casal over Kyle Jacob. I don't think that's an upset.
No. No. PJ's just I've
Yeah.
known PJ too since I was younger, and he's always been pretty dominant, especially going in those upper weights. He's got a style that just works.
He just looked kind of young last year, which just caused him to take fifth.
Yeah. Yeah, but then this year he kind of filled into the weight class and was doing pretty good.
Yeah. Martin Cosgrove over David Zoop. No, that was an upset. Who's the 1 seed at this weight class?
No.
The 1 seed at 195
Wait,
lost.
I think there was an upset. Cosgrove beat him, or did Zuba beat him?
Cosgrove was a 3 seed and he won. Zubu was the
Okay.
5 seed. Zuba beat Eberly in the quarters.
Okay.
And then I don't know who the 1 seed was of that weight class.
I think there was an upset at 138 too.
Oh, Will Grader, the 12 seed made.
Well, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I kind of think he was maybe the second best guy in the state, but he just had a good run there.
He did.
He lost to Clark, I think, 3-0 at the Bergen Del Barton duel.
He had and then he also had I think him and Clark wrestled at the region finals too, and Clark beat him like 5-3 or something like that. So they'd already wrestled like previously in the year like 2 times. So
I'm trying to think. I know there's definitely one more. Who won?
What about 160? What was that 160? I could be wrong.
60?
What'd you say? Kind of cut out.
No, I'm trying to think who's at 160. I don't think it was.
I know Saldana won it, right? So I don't really.
No.
Yeah.
Stefanelli in the finals.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that was one of the crazier matches. I didn't expect him to win either.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I had Stefanelli over either Matt Benedetti or Shea Addison.
Yeah, I thought Stefanelli was gonna win it.
I mean, Logano's going to be a tank coming in next year, which is going to be crazy.
Yeah, he's only a junior, right? He's still got 2 more years.
He's going into his junior season, yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel about, I think they saved 170 for last, Connor O'Neill and Shane Reeves maps and their disagreements, but the
They have
going
some.
match probably one of the most violent matches I've ever seen. I think Shane won at power rating 6-4 in overtime.
Yeah, I'm friends with Shane, so I was rooting for Shane, obviously. Um, that was just. I feel like O'Neal just made the better adjustments in that match because if you watch their match at power rate, I'm pretty sure it went to like overtime or something like that. Um, O'Neal was able to like counter his single leg and his high crotch and then get to his own attacks off of like re-attacks and stuff. So it was really just better execution on O'Neal's part and better preparation. So
Yeah. Do you think Shane will go down as like one of the best guys to never win a state title?
absolutely, yeah. He made it to 2 state finals. He was right there both times. Could have went either way. Both. I mean, obviously, when he wrestled, who
Brandon,
did he wrestled the kid from Paulsboro, right?
Brandon Green.
Brandon Green. I mean, he had just beat him the week prior, and then he kind of
Yeah,
folded when it came to states. But that I guess it's maybe he needs to figure out how to wrestle better when the spotlight's on him. Maybe that's why, because obviously he beat both of those kids before entering the state finals, and then when it comes to the state finals, he lost both times. So I think he needs to get. I think it's a more of a mental thing than it is a physical thing. I think he's a hell of a wrestler, and I think he'll make some noise in college too.
do you talk to Joey Oliveri at all, or like you guys not like each other either?
Oh no, I've known Joey my whole life. I really don't have any bad blood with him whatsoever. I don't really talk to him that much anymore because he lives all the way up north. I live all the way down in South Jersey,
Yeah,
so we kind of grew apart a little bit, but no bad blood whatsoever. It's wrestling.
yeah,
You got to go out there and wrestle no matter what. You can't really hate someone just for beating you.
yeah. I think the what seems kind of crazy to me is you get booed for winning 1-0, and then Joey goes out there and wins 1-0. You know,
Yeah.
nothing really happens.
Well, like you got to think about it. Hanover Park always brings a huge section of states. Like those people are cheering loud, and they support wrestling pretty much all the time. St. John Vianney's not a very big wrestling school. We don't bring a lot of people to states. We don't have our whole section. Like even if you think me wrestling Vinny, most of those boos are coming from Brick Memorial side. It's because Brick Memorial's got like 5 or 6 whole like sections like planned out before they even get to the state tournament. So those boos especially are going to be loud when you got a whole team rooting against you.
So I think I have maybe one or two final questions. So I made a bet with a friend that Shane Griffith was going to win the national title next year over Makai Lewis.
Oh wow. You know what? I totally agree with that. But did Griffith transfer out of Stanford because they don't
Yeah,
have wrestling there anymore? Where'd he go?
I don't think he finalized that yet, which is interesting.
But I feel like he definitely because I remember watching him wrestle Vincent Joseph and having like a 5-3 match. It was pretty like 4-3 match, and it was pretty close. And it looked like if Griffith was a little bit older and a little bit more experienced, he would have won that match. That was at like the Southern Scuffle a couple years back, and I feel like he could definitely beat Mickey Lewis, especially with um a couple more years under his belt.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is like I'm be honest, I don't like Alex Marinelli. Like I don't like his wrestling style. I think I
Me neither.
probably yeah. I think I probably got the most hype when Chenzo lad dropped him right to his back.
Yeah.
I'm like he kind of got what he deserved there. Throws Chenzo to his back the past 2 years, goes out there with like no respect for this dude's upper body ability and just gets tossed to his back.
Yeah, it's really just not showing enough respect for some like that's what Joseph's good at. He's good at going for those throws and stuff. And if you're not going to respect that, then you kind of deserve to get thrown to your back. You know, that's what's going to happen if you don't respect someone's, their wheelhouse. That's like their go-to stuff.
Yeah. If you on the final question, if you had to think of one dark horse at any weight class in New Jersey, who would it be?
I mean, we talked about how Diaz, I feel like, has a shot. I mean, I'm pretty sure him going down at 20, he's going to be considered a dark horse either way, just because he hasn't placed the last 2 years. I think the farthest he's made is like wrestleback 3. So people aren't really. And this year he was out in like the second wrestleback, but I feel like he is definitely a dark horse. Obviously, I have a little bit bias towards him because I know he's on my team and I've been training with him a little bit. But I feel like he's definitely a dark horse at 120. I'm pretty sure the little Santinello Anthony is going to be going up to 120 as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was the state final this year, Diaz and Santinello.
Yeah. Actually, I just thought of something very interesting. Do you know who Tyler Saggy is from Old Bridge?
Yes. Yep.
So if he's at 26 and you're at 26, that's theoretically going to be the region final if Maiden moves up a weight class.
Yeah.
And I think I remember he got pinned in the region quarterfinals, which was I remember seeing everybody screaming.
That's, you know what? That would be another one of my dark horses, Cameron O'Neill. I train with him all the time. If I had to pick another kid that's going to make some noise this year at 145 or 152, Cameron O'Neill definitely has a shot at the state title.
Yeah, no, I was kind of shocked. I saw this kid. I know Diaz is good, but he also lost to Saggy in the district finals, and then I see this dude coming on fire. I didn't kind of expect him to win, but like my entire school was I go to South Brunswick, so I think everybody from my school trained with them, so like they were all rooting them on. So I was just, I don't like to cheer or anything. I just like to watch the matches.
Yeah.
So
I was actually in a little bit of like a dilemma because I trained with both. Cam goes to my club, O'Neill, and he ended up wrestling Saggy. But that during that week, because we have region practice at Howell, and I was training with both of them. They both wanted because they're trying to be my partner. Obviously, they're trying to get some good reps in. So Saggy's asking me all these questions and stuff, and I'm trying to help him or whatever. I know O'Neill's got to wrestle him. I'm not, I couldn't even root for anyone in that match because they both they both came up to me asking for help and stuff, trying to get ready for regions. So I'm watching that match and I'm sitting right next to Saggy's dad and O'Neill puts him in a cradle and I'm just like, I can't even like start cheering. I can't do anything. I got to keep my calm and not do anything. But
you walk away at that point.
yeah, I didn't know what to do. I couldn't cheer for anyone and I was just like, oh God.
Yeah, I mean that's just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember we were talking about this the one day. I remember like this was before like I talked to you and everything, but I ran the NJ wrestling tournament page. I remember I was making a TikTok, right, and then Jack Maida sends me the video of the region finals. I
Yeah.
posted, you know, like you have to put like a clickbait caption in there. I'm like almost pinned the defending state champ, something like that. Put his name in. I'm like thinking I only have like 100 followers right now. That's not gonna get like any likes. It ends up getting like 50,000 likes. And then I see you follow me, and I request to follow the page, and I'm just like, oh shit, it's not gonna be good.
Yeah, because everyone was sending it to me, and I'm like, oh God, do I have to really deal with this? Because like people don't really understand it. Like it's gonna happen. Like you're gonna get thrown to your back every once in a while. Something like that's gonna happen. And I wouldn't mind if I didn't really care that you like clickbaited the title. I'm like, oh, almost pinned this. I mean, that's exactly what happened. You almost pinned me. That's exactly what happened. It really wasn't even clickbait. But just like I feel like he had all the potential to like use that as momentum at the state tournament, and he just kind of folded.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that was pretty bad, honestly. I remember I talked to Jack about that. He just kind of seemed embarrassed, honestly. But yeah, I
I
think I do
yeah
that all the time because they just get more likes because people want to watch it. Glory
yeah
almost getting pinned in the quarterfinals. There's like a bunch of other crazy things that went on. Anthony
yeah
Clark, Robbie Howard losing to Sammy Alvarez.
yeah. People love that. It's just it's exciting too because even like I understand what the excitement was. Like I got thrown to my back. That was an exciting move. He scored 5 points on it. I don't think I'd been on my back since I was in like middle school. So that was an exciting clip. I mean, and those scrambles that Alvarez and Howard have are just insane.
Yeah, and those are two guys I'm pretty sure they don't like each other either. Or I mean, maybe, but like
They don't.
yeah, I'm pretty sure they don't.
It
Howard's,
seems it seems like Howard just hates everybody.
yeah, I mean, dude could have been a four-time state champ. Just kind of got it ruined twice.
Yeah.
One by Antonio Menino, and then the other by Sammy Alvarez.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be. I think he might even try to wrestle Sammy in college because that's one match he never got back. Like he got to wrestle Menino the next year and take him out, and we all remember that because that scramble or whatever. But he never really got his match back with Alvarez because obviously it was his last match in high school.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I think Alvarez might whoop him pretty bad.
I feel like Alvarez has jumped levels since he got into college. Like he was good in that state final, but I feel like he's 10 times better now.
Yeah, 100%. But you also have to realize Howard has to beat out RBY for the spot, and that's just not happening.
Yeah, that's not happening at 133.
Yeah. And at 25, I don't think Penn State has anybody there. They had Brandon Merritt, who's pretty much a nobody in the Big Ten.
Yeah, he's gonna make the team pretty easily at 125, unless they have other people coming in that I really don't know about. So
I mean, you can't really count anybody out at that level, but with Howard's resume,
yeah,
he's probably gonna get the spot.
especially at Penn State, they recruit a lot though. Like I feel like I saw a lot of people commit to Penn State and a couple prospects at 25. I just can't really think of their names right now.
Yeah. Penn State.
Penn State, yeah, that's where Howard's going, right?
I think Penn State's been heavily recruiting like 125 just because they need to find like a guy after Sirianni left.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. They haven't really had a guy that's been competitive at that weight at all.
Yeah, I mean, Devin Schnupp was fun to watch though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The one match, Carson Kunis.
No, no.
Did you see Penn State versus Ohio State the one year? Anthony Cassara beat Colin Moore.
Yeah, yeah.
He was the guy at 125. He almost beat Nathan Tomasello, and he was unranked. True, he was like a random kid.
Okay, yeah, I remember that match. Tomasello didn't look too good in that match, though. He looked pretty.
I think that goes down to my favorite duel of all time. Man. No doubt about that.
I never liked either of those schools, though. I don't like Ohio State, and I don't like Penn State. Just not one of.
I mean, I go to college in Pennsylvania now, so you don't really have a choice.
You got to root for Penn State.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really have a favorite team, but I just kind of pick wrestlers I like at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So for the final question, there's two matches. Dake versus David Taylor. No, Jordan Burroughs versus David Taylor.
Jordan Burroughs versus David Taylor. I got Jordan all the way. I just don't see, especially since they're meeting in the middle at 79 kilograms. That's somewhere Taylor hasn't been in a while, and I feel like it's easier for Burroughs to go up than for Taylor to come down. So I feel like I definitely have Burroughs winning that match. I don't even think it's going to be too close. I feel like I'm going to go 6-1 Burroughs. I just don't feel like Taylor is going to have the answers for what Burroughs brings to the table.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I've gotten a bunch of different takes on this. I feel like if it was at 86, Taylor texts him no problem. But, I mean, I think the weight advantage is too big at that point.
I feel like at 86, Burroughs would have a lot of trouble. I don't know about Texan because I know Burroughs is able to hold his own wherever he goes because he's that kind of wrestler. I'd say Taylor would definitely win at 86, but as he come down, I feel like 79 Burroughs and then 74 is definitely Burroughs. So I don't see Taylor beating him where they're meeting at now.
I think that's one of the things people try to disregard. Is like I think that's like a 79 to 86 is like a 15-pound cut pretty much at that point.
Yeah. And Taylor hasn't been down there in forever. Yeah. He went straight from 74 all the way up to 86. Like he didn't even Dake obviously stopped at 79,
I mean, everybody kind of found their spot now. And when you have a guy who's a 4-time national champ who's almost like 30 years old, not having an Olympic spot, it's just kind of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, last question. Jordan Burroughs versus Kyle Dake. Or Isaiah Martinez.
Wait, what'd you say that last part?
I said or Isaiah Martinez. You can't count him out right now. I'm just saying.
I don't see Isaiah Martinez making it past Dake because the way Burroughs is gonna be the 1 seed, and the way it's gonna be is Dake and Martinez are gonna wrestle, and I feel like Dake's style matches up well with Martinez, and that's why he beats him pretty convincingly every time they wrestle. Again, I'm going with Burroughs, especially at 74 kilograms with Dake coming down. I don't feel like he's gonna be as explosive or as exciting, and after that match with Chamizo, he just doesn't look good whatsoever, and I feel like Burroughs is gonna run through him.
I mean, Chamizo's a guy you can't really overlook either.
Yeah, but going into that match, people were like, oh, Dake might even tech Chamizo. Like, everyone thought that Dake was going to destroy Chamizo, and then that's like a last second – I guess it was a last-second takedown, right? Dake was able to win. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I had Chamizo win that match.
I picked Chamizo to win too, but a lot of people were choosing against Chamizo. It's saying Dake is gonna like destroy him, and that Dake's gonna like Dake bomb him and just run right through him, and that just didn't happen.
I mean, Chamizo's defense is just too good to walk through like that.
Yeah.
Like people think it will be.
But then you got to think Chamizo bumped up a weight class to 79 to wrestle Dake. Dake didn't come down to 74.
I mean,
That
if
match,
you watch the Flow interview, you remember they were talking, like Dake agreed to go down to 74. Chamizo was like, no, I'll come to 79. Dake was like, okay, we can just 76 if you want. He's like, okay, after I beat you, you're going to play the weight class excuse. And then that's exactly what happened.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like if they had met at 74, I would definitely think Chamizo would have won. I feel like he was just kind of being like himself though, and being like, "Oh, I'm gonna bump up and still beat you." But you know,
Okay, so yeah, it's you got some good stuff in. Thank you for joining me this episode. I appreciate it, and good luck this season. Bring home the third state title, and good luck at Princeton in the future. And this has been episode 36 of Late Night Shots, and we will see you again next time.